Before I start the interview, I need to say a little bit of a disclaimer. Everything I said today, and also my assessments are all of my own. I am not representing any entity or organization. It is a lot of risk for Myanmar. And also, I think I would say the region as well, to have these Chinese the private security companies stationed inside Myanmar, because we have seen from other contexts, other areas that where China has brought in these security companies, and many times, these security companies are staffed by a former PLA officer. So they took up their uniform and then now they put on the civilian, but they still have a lot of connection and answer to Beijing. So even though they're called companies. So when you have something like that in other countries, what we have seen is that they become a lot more reliant on China. And then they also get manipulated in both in economics as well as in politics, internal politics as well. And so you start to lose a bit of a sovereignty of your country when you bring in something like that. And we have seen that in Africa, South Asia, Central Asia, and even in Southeast Asia. And so, it is quite risky to have as we call it, boots on the ground, Chinese boots on the ground. What the junta is using, that's also one of the indicators that junta is losing. It is almost at the verge of collapse, and it is the almost the last last thing, the last grasping at something. And this would be something unthinkable in Myanmar, and as well as, it is also in constitution that they wrote, the military junta has written, that disallowed such boots on the ground from the foreign security agencies. But they, as you know, recently they changed the constitution to enable this possibility. And but that tells you that junta is really on its last leg. But also, junta is willing to trade the long-term threat, for a short-term gain. And short-term gain is just for a handful of, him and his buddies, right? Not the people. It will be this problem will persist for another a couple of centuries under the boots of Chinese security apparatus. Well, yeah, they would start to become they will dominate Myanmar. Myanmar will become their, what we call it, their client state, right? They will control everything. Not only they will start to control, security in the small area, but they will expand. Next thing you know, they will be calling shots on the domestic agenda. And of course, the economic, any type of trade and economics, they will dominate. They will, everything will be done in to their benefit, right? For example, even right now, they have these extraction industries, right? They take all the rare earth minerals from Myanmar, and then people are left with environmental destruction. The water is poisoned, and they have landslides and destruction of forests and hills. So, it's with the Chinese company, and Chinese MO is never win-win, is win-lose, win-lose. So, and also, I said this has a larger, wider regional implication is because Myanmar is strategically critical to China. Myanmar geographical location offer the only strategic alternative to their Malacca dilemma. Because the Malacca Strait, 80% of China's oil has to go through the Malacca Strait. And that makes them very vulnerable in time of war. So they've been trying to find an alternative way to bypass Malacca. So that Myanmar is the only country that can offer that. Because China does not have direct border with Thailand, right, to the west side of the Malacca Strait entrance. And, of course, Laos, Cambodia, they are on the east side. It ended up on the east side of the Malacca Strait. So Myanmar is the only country. And also historically, any major power that wants to dominate Asia or Indo-Pacific region has to have control of Myanmar. So Myanmar is that critical and important. And so once they have that control, now they just reduce their vulnerability and they can act any way they want. They will be able to dominate Indo-Pacific and Asia. Right. Well, in the other areas where they have these Chinese company coming in, a security company coming in, they treat the locals poorly. So they will have clashes with the local population, and then the local law enforcement will have clash with them, but they're always outnumber or out weapon, they have a lot more firepower, right, than the local law enforcement apparatus. So, and then with that, many times they bring in this illegal trade. These companies, because they don't have very much oversight of these companies. The local law enforcement do not have enough oversight on these companies, and they never have the capacity to do that. And that's one of the reasons that China use it as an excuse to bring in their own security, because the local security outfit cannot provide the security. So local security, the capability of local security agencies are already low, and then they bring in theirs. So then it's always imbalance, right? So then they can take advantage of the area. And then eventually, and then also there are reports of intelligence gathering. And then in some of the places, they're starting to use these areas as a dual use for military as well as, civilian. Right. So it has a lot of problem, and they have seen that in Pakistan, like Africa, like in Zambia, Kenya, Uganda, Ecuador, Peru in the South America, even in Central America, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan. So, I mean, you name it. Many have experienced these problems that I have just stated for bringing the Chinese Chinese security companies in to the country. Well, yes, as long as the PDFs and the pro-democracy coalition forces control the area, they can prevent that from occurring. So the prevention is better if they can stop it from, bringing it in, right? So that's why I've been saying that as much as there has been amazing success on the pro-democracy coalition side, they do need to work faster, and meaning working together more. They need to cooperate. They need to overcome some of the remaining barriers that are preventing them from even closer cooperation, more joint strategy, right? Joint command. Those, if they are able to do that, then they can bring this to the end and remove Myanmar and the military junta from Naypyidaw. Well, in this particular, especially with the China related, there we need to make sure that we support the independent media. Myanmar independent media is so important because they're the one conducting these really important investigative reporting of all these malign activities that China is doing in Myanmar, as well as Myanmar and his group the junta is doing in Myanmar. So I understand there has been, because of the recent cuts from United States, they have a lower support. So I think that the audience need to step in because they do it very, very inexpensively, actually. So if the audience can step in and subscribe to these outfit or donate to these independent media like Irrawaddy, Myanmar Now, DBB, those really independent media outfit that are doing really great job and professional reporting, it would be really, really helpful so that people will always get accurate information, correct information, correct news on time, and kind of word of China's misinformation machine. Because China is out there with the propaganda, and then recently we have seen increased step up in misinformation and propaganda campaign from the military junta side as well. So, independent media and shining in the lights on what's happening in Myanmar is really, really important. So my call out to the audience is to please support the independent media, Myanmar media. They're really, really important.